And welcome back. This is another opportunity to sit down with one of our Alta contestants. We had Belinda on earlier in the week, and I'm now sitting here with my friend Brandon. The premise of these podcasts are purely, initially they're a selfish exercise. I want to get to know these guys better because I find them quite fascinating, and the reasons why they might subscribe to something like 20 weeks of training at 6 a.m. when they could be lying in bed with the end goal, potentially, of jumping inside of an octagon and punching on with another human being who's taken the same leap of faith. But also a great opportunity for people who might listen through our gym community or elsewhere to get to know these guys a little bit better because their stories are quite inspiring and they're leading the way by their actions and inspiring others. I know I got some great feedback on Belinda's The Fruit Ninja, aka Belle Owender, aka The Wrecking Ball. So here is Brandon. Brandon, welcome, my friend. It's freezing cold and Saturday morning. We had gale force winds last night. Quite an unusual day, but just another day in the life on the surf coast. Can you introduce yourself maybe to people who are listening? I've come to know you inside the gym. Who are you outside the gym?
Yeah, great question. Thanks for inviting me to talk to you too, Matt. So yeah, I'm Bran. I guess I'm a couple of things to a few different people. So, firstly, a husband to my absolute beautiful number one supporter wife, Corey. A father to my three young boys, Ollie, Jet, and Bodie, and I run a local business. So, it keeps me pretty occupied. Wherever I can, I try and give it a time to head down to the beach, or even half an hour here and there to just sit down and play my drums. Even a bit of Zen time is what I love to do.
And so I popped into your warehouse. We used to share neighbouring. Well, actually, I used to rent a warehouse off you.
Yeah,
Remember?
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Far out. So Bones 2.0. So we've actually had 3 gyms. One of them was a small, I forgot about this. We had a small MMA gym tucked in around the corner from the old one for a while, and kind of around all the lockdowns, we kind of had to bounce out of that and kind of reduce our overheads. That was actually rented off Brandon. And so Brandon, just down the corner, had another warehouse. And I popped into that warehouse, and you had this recording set. Oh, you had all your toys there for a start.
Yeah.
It was about 75,000 bikes, 500 instruments, and a bronze statue of me, which I found super disconcerting. I was like, mate, when did you make this? But man, I'm looking good in bronze. And the recording studio. So I guess, what's your background in music? And like you said, it's still something that you kind of find solace in, I guess.
Yeah, so I absolutely love fast punk, skate punk sort of stuff. A little bit of ska, a little bit sort of reggae inspired. It's an absolute passion of mine. But I reckon I started playing drums at the age of maybe 8 or 9, and it's just a really cool escape that I found for myself. And then something I could concentrate on and get really good at, and then I could take that into a team environment, being a band. And then I played in a couple of really cool, not like huge bands, but did a few tours and played with some really cool international acts and stuff like that here and there. So that was a lot of fun. I don't play in a band now, but I absolutely wish I did. But any chance I get, I'll jump behind the kit. My boys, do the same thing, and it's so sick to see them have a bash.
You spoke about having you've got a large young family, you're a successful business owner, really kind of maturing through the process of being a business owner, which takes so much energy, and they're different energies. But your business is kind of like your baby, another baby too. Sometimes,
Absolutely.
It's not just effort it's not just practical energy, it's emotional energy too, you know, and you care for your staff, and you develop relationships with them. Often we spend more time with our colleagues than we do with our with our own family. So and being a business owner, you know, I said this to you the other day, no one gives a fuck if you're there at 4 a.m. cleaning, or that you're up at, you know, 11 o'clock at night, you know, doing the paperwork. No one cares. Like, people just want to get paid and want to get the product at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And, you know, businesses are a massive commitment, and being a business owner certainly, you know, carries has some other complications, as you know, does being a father or a mother, and all of these things. So it's so much energy. And then I think one of the challenges for me, one of the challenges for you, is to be able to find time, make time for ourselves to do something that we know we need, or that makes us feel better, or something that we're passionate about, like playing the drums, or like, you know, an MMA program at 6 a.m. for
That's
20
it.
weeks. This is what I'm so interested in, guys. Like, you know, the how people like yourself find time, and how you manage balance to do this. Like, what have you discovered about being a business owner and a father, and making time for yourself? What have you discovered there?
Yeah, I think like probably the most important lesson I've learned is you need to invest in people, but they need to be the right people. And I think I find my team at work to, you know, you're just as intimate as a family. You need to know each other even better than you know, right? So it's really important that you find the right people, you double down, and you need to be able to trust them. And in turn, same as at home, like my wife is an absolute weapon. She's my number one supporter, and without her being so ready and willing to hold the fort, you know, nothing can work. And it is all balanced, but like some days family has to take priority, and then some days business has to take priority. So I think the perfect balance is where you can lean either way, and the other kind of props itself up enough to hold down the fort while you're tending to what needs to tend to. That's what I think. You know, I don't maybe necessarily believe there is like a perfect 50-50 balance, and we do that, and that's okay. So, yeah, my team make it incredibly easy to come in and train during the workday, and you know, I bring Bodie in to training every morning as well, and he's my alarm clock. He wakes me up at 5. I'm going, Dad, are we going to Bones today? I'm like, yeah, mate, but I'd love another 15 minutes of sleep. But yeah, I really think leveraging people is the number one.
Yeah, and the importance of investing people is, you've articulated that well, but it's also really important to invest in ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's important to take time to invest in ourselves, and kind of put more fuel in the tank. I find I'm at my best as a businessman when I'm inspired, both within a business setting, but also with it outside of it. You know, it's kind of like an energy system that, you know, if I'm doing the right things outside for myself, and I'm curious about life and looking to learn, and I'm driven and passionate about something, that I can give my best in a work environment too.
Yeah.
Even with the boring stuff.
Yeah,
you
absolutely.
know. So do you find is there any parallels between, let's say, your hobby of playing the drums, and you know, it's probably more of a hobby now that you're not playing in any bands.
Yeah, totally.
Something that you do for you. Is there any parallels between, you know, your hobby of being a musician and MMA that you've experienced so far?
Yeah, without a doubt. So I think it's the same approach where, like, you know, you need to be the best you can be at your craft, and it is a solo journey in a way, but you bring that to a team environment where, you know, here every morning 6 a.m. we're surrounded, like our whole group is just fucking awesome. Yeah, they're strong humans. They're incredible, right? And days where I'm struggling, you know, you start training with someone who's, you know, they've had 6 Red Bulls by the time, or so it seems anyway, right? And they really pick you up. And I found the same thing playing in bands too, where like I might be full of nervous energy or just feeling flat, whatever it is. But like again, in that environment where you're seeing these other 4 or 5 individuals around you who are masters of their craft, it's so inspiring. But going back to what you said before about investing in yourself, funnily enough, like that's actually something I didn't do enough of until we probably started doing this, or until sort of like my hospital experience last year, where I really just tried to make sure like family was all sorted and business was taken care of, and I actually fed myself the scraps of what was left, and it wasn't enough for sure. So I thought that was important to touch on, that it's something I'm still really learning how to do.
Yeah. And you spoke about how balance isn't 50-50. It's like, sometimes that, we can in a week spend more time on ourselves, but sometimes, man, we're like, 90% all the way into being at work. And, of course, we're always there trying to save some energy for the end of the day, then to give to our families, you know.
Yeah.
And it's so cool that I love seeing like little Bodie come in the mornings. It's what we're about as a gym. Like I love to have the kids, and I love kids. I reckon they soften the nature of what we're doing too. What we're doing is it's got an edge to it. It's very primal. It's fighting. It's very innate to us as who we are as human beings, and over time, as kind of societies, and Belinda spoke on this, has kind of become like pacified, trying to take the caveman out of us.
I really like that, actually, when she said that. That was awesome.
It was so cool, wasn't
it? Yeah.
It's so true, and that's why I think we come here and we get so much from the sport, because we're tapping into who we are, and we're doing it alongside others in like a team environment, like getting ready to go over the hill with bayonets. That's what we're about. It's kind of what we're doing, and it's important to it's important to have kids around, because they do soften that. They take the edge off it, and they allow us just to kind of drop the bravado around martial arts. And like Bodhi, he's just always got a smile on his face, and it's wicked to see. It's so good. I love coming into these sessions, man. It's been inspiring for me as a coach too, to have a group of people come together, mostly from the couch or from the office chair, all with a shared purpose. And for me and Kim to we're really invested in that journey too. It's great for us, man. You spoke about like hospital experience. Is that something that you wanted to touch on?
Yeah, that'd be really cool if you don't mind.
Well, and I think I'm privy to this. We had a really awesome chat in the car park, as most awesome chats are. So this one wasn't at 4 a.m. This one was at 11 o'clock in the morning, and you touched on it, and I been thinking about it the last couple of days, and the people's why is so interesting to me, and so important for me as a coach, as a tool to understand what drives people in the moment. Like coming into the third round, you're on the stool, you've everything spent after 20 weeks of hard training, you feel like you got nothing left. But what is it that we can tap into? Why are you there on that stool in that moment, that we can tap in you to give you some high octane for the last 3 minutes?
Cool. All right, so it's definitely an interesting sort of episode that happened, but it sort of probably goes back to a little bit before this time last year. So when my wife was pregnant with our youngest, Ollie, and he's just turned 1 now, I think the last 3 months of her pregnancy she spent in a wheelchair with hip instability. So that and we had just moved out rural, so we were kind of isolated, and I had to be available at home to really help run the other 2 boys around, make sure she was okay, sorted, while still trying to run a business at 100%. And so that put a great deal of stress and pressure on just every environment that I could step into, pretty much. And then sort of navigating that, Ollie was born, and then his first 6 to 8 weeks, he was just a really loud, kind of unsettled baby as well. And while still then trying to get Corey rested and healthy, and run the other two between kinder and other activities. There was no sleep, and typical sort of story there. But I think Ollie might have been about 12 weeks old, and I was away for a business dinner, and landed. I got in the car in Tullamarine, and I went to drive back home. And then sort of like 3/4 of my drive back, I pulled over. The noise just got way worse. So at that point, pulled over, and it's pretty graphic, but like I started vomiting blood, really bright red, and a lot of it. As soon as I got it all out, I felt instantly better, and I was only sort of 15 minutes away from home, so I thought, right, like I'm on the side of the freeway off like this small back road. I feel like the best thing for me right now is just to make my way home. That way, like, car's good, I'm closer to home, so Corey can find me, then we'll sort it all out. So so I felt okay at that point, and I started driving back toward home. And as soon as I got onto like our street, I started just getting tingly all through my body. I could see our driveway approaching, and we lived on a rural property at the time. It's like a 500-600 meter long driveway. So I got to the end of the driveway and called Corey straight away. I said, "Hey, look, babe, I have no idea what's wrong, but I need an ambulance." And it's something that's so out of character for me that she's just like, "Yeah, cool." What's crazy is like her phone was on vibrate in another room, and she just so happened to like need it at that very moment. And like my wife is notorious for like never answering her phone, so absolutely wild. So we did that, and then I pulled into the driveway and started sort of driving down it. Got to like the top bend, still sort of 200-300 meters away from the house, and I had to pull the car over. I lost vision, and I just opened the car door and I fell out of the car, and that was me. At the same time, like Corey and my mother-in-law Liza were watching me come down the driveway. They were really concerned, and they saw the car pull over. So Liza came running up the driveway, and she found me unconscious in a puddle of blood as well. And and so Corey then come running up the driveway, and so Liza was sort of screaming at her to sort of not come too close. She had left the boys in the house at the time, and it was so lucky, like the boys were hiding, waiting to surprise me. So, like kind of sad. It was actually like really lucky that they didn't get to see anything. Yeah. And so from there, the ambulance was going to be too long, sort of over 45 minutes, and I didn't have that in me at that point. So Liza managed to drag me into our car, and she raced me off to hospital. By that point, I sort of like started to regain a bit of consciousness, enough to attempt to get out of the car. In getting out of the car, I collapsed again on the pavement, and I've got some really gross photos to remember that. But then all I remember at that point is like getting sort of like scooped up off the floor by a team of the emergency staff there, and then getting resuscitated. And I woke up at that point, getting my clothes cut off, getting oxygen, blood. At that point, like I was in a state of shock waking up to that. I had no idea. I didn't get to see my kids from sort of 2 days before it. My fear was like, what's going to happen? I have no idea. I don't know if I'm going to see them again. Anything like that. So, they stabilized me, and then I went in for a few emergency surgeries, and they found where the bleeding was in my stomach. And they stitched it up, sent me to recovery, and then I stayed in the ward for maybe about 3 days after that. As soon as I could have visitors, Corey brought the boys in, but the doctors sat us down and told her that she could have been a widow with 3 kids, only within a matter of minutes. It was really, really that tight. And a couple of days later, I was released and went home. Just so excited to like eat a meal and just like read the boys a bedtime story. I did all that, and then had a shower and went to lay down in bed. I think maybe no more than 2 hours after that, I started getting like really restless legs. I just couldn't sit still. And then Corey woke me up, And at that point, like I ran to the bathroom and I started hemorrhaging again. So vomiting a massive amount of blood again. And I tried to stand up to call out for help. And again, like I sort of fell unconscious on the floor in the bathroom of the house this time. And in the exact same scenario happened. We couldn't get an ambulance quick enough. My mother-in-law was still at the house, and her and Corey managed to get me into the car, and she raced me off to hospital again. Exact same scenario. Tried to get out of the car at the hospital, and I hit the deck, unconscious again, woke up, getting my clothes cut off once again, getting oxygen, getting blood. It was an exact repeat of what had happened 3 days before it. And so at that point, they took me back in. They did more scans, another surgery to try and stitch up the bleeding. And then I think it was the day after I went in for like an angiogram and ended up getting the entire blood vessel coiled off to my stomach as well.
Yeah.
And so then I was in hospital for maybe 10 days after that. I spent Father's Day there, and that was a bit of a different experience. But some days in there were like a real struggle just trying to understand like what had happened, how close I'd come to not being here anymore. And then, just sort of waiting for Corey and the boys to come in and visit me was a little bit of hope. And so it was a wild ride. And to think like Ollie was only 12 weeks when that was happening too. Like it was just a crazy, insane time. And then and then I was home for like a couple of weeks healing after that. In terms of the business and all that ran as good as it could without me. I had to do a few payroll cycles from the hospital bed, which I really wish I had the ability to delegate that part away, but I didn't. It is what it is. And then sort of a few months from there, we hit a bit of a snag with the business with a few of our clients being in a tricky position and made it difficult for us to carry on. So the advice I was given by our accounting team was, look, Brand, you might have to cease trading here. Let's think about it. Let's put a plan in place to try and trade out of the trouble the business was in. But also keep in mind the reality is that we'll probably have to wrap things up in a few months if we can't sort of turn things around as well. So
how many staff did you have at that point?
12. Yeah. So, awesome team. Yeah. 12 absolute weapons. And the best thing I could do at that point was really sort of just be open and honest and say, hey, look, this is the situation. I need to find a way to turn this around. Otherwise, we won't be here in 3 months, 4 months. So that got us, through the November, December, January kind of time. And then the plan to be able to trade out of that trouble, it didn't work. And so, had to make the decision there to, cease trading and work out some form of restructure.
All within, a couple of months of being moments from death.
That's it. Yeah. So it's just a really, really interesting time. And, I think about it nearly every day still. And, I think as hard as going through like the hospitalization and dealing with that, really like the way I look at it is like that really set me up to be able to mentally deal with like liquidation and restructuring. But then, like just to be like super transparent with you is like through this liquidation process, there's been times where I've just wished I was back in hospital where like, my shit could stand still for a little while. I could get some proper rest, uninterrupted. My world can stop. But, reality is like that can't happen. And we just have to take every day as we can and do like, well, the way I've looked at it is like, all right, what's the biggest move I can make today? Don't worry about too much else, but let's just find like the biggest needle to move today. And if we get that one done, look to the next, have a rest, and then we'll look at tomorrow when we need to. And so, which like kind of brings me to where I am now and doing Alta, which was, I've had like 12 months of a really tricky time, physically, mentally, and I feel like a lot of it was out of my control. So I really wanted to prove to myself that, you know, there's harder things we can do out there that we can be in full control of, and just how can I basically just like make the last 12 months my absolute bitch, really. You know, like couldn't put it any other way. I just wanted to show myself, be an example to my kids that, you know, when things get hard, like go and find something harder, conquer that, and you'll be okay. You know, in our family, we can always say to each other, like, choose your heart. You know, we can say being in hospital, nearly dying is hard, for sure. It is. Having to maybe lose your business a few months later is hard, and it is. But while all that's happening, choosing to get up at 6 a.m., you know, 5 days a week and stand here and learn how to fight, well, it's like the perfect metaphor for the whole lot. And so, you know, I really think about this period now as like a redefining, like a relearning of, you know, what, like the fire I have within me, and how to just like find that confidence again, that drive, motivation, and just prove to myself what I can do. Because like none of the events of the last 12 months define me in any way. So let's just reinforce that.
Yeah, that's inspiring, bro. That's so cool. I was just thinking while you were talking about, you know, the parallels to a fight in that moment. You know, life is like a fight in so many different ways. The people in your corner, you know, your wife, your mother-in-law, who are like rock solid through like your worst moment, you know.
Yeah.
And I'm sure, you know, you were out for the count many times through that, and you needed, you know, a couple of words, much like a coach might offer you, you know, just some perspective and some distance from the outside to, you know, kind of guide your steps. And I know you've got a supportive business community around you as well in terms of the business, you know.
Yeah.
Business is often like a fight, you know, we roll with the punches, and you get knocked down. But when we're knocked down, whether it be in life, whether it be in a hospital bed, or whether it be, you know, in a business sense, we do have a choice to make. Often, you know, you've got getting knocked down to the mat, you get an 8 count, you know, which is a finite period of time. Hard times are finite. They're shit. You know, bright lights in your eyes, you know, blood in your eyes, or in the stomach in your case.
Yeah, right.
But you've got a decision, you've got a choice to make, unless it's taken out of your hands. And that's, you know, whether to get up and put your hands up and keep on fighting, or to lay down and quit. And it's an inspiring story, Brandon. I think your family are very lucky to still have you here, as are we.
Yeah.
And you know, that story one day for your kids will be a really important seed that I'm sure will give them a lot of fortitude for their journey into adulthood, you know. Awesome, man. I love that. I can't wait to see you get in there and just beat the shit out of some bogan from Frankston or something.
That's it. They're going to cop every tribulation and trial that's happened lately.
It's the guys who have like a little bit of torment that are the most scary in fights, you know, because they just tap into that.
Yeah.
Like if you're wise bigger than the other person,
That's right.
It's a bad day in the office for.
Yeah. You know what's really cool is I think like I've wanted, and I think I've tried to do this program for over the years, and for whatever reason it's been cancelled or hasn't happened. And but you know what? I think that like it's all for good reason. That like I definitely was never rock solid in a why into do something. And to be honest, like I actually had like massive anxiety around coming in and just like doing a class and like being in people's spaces and have people in my space. It's not something I'm comfortable with in the slightest. I was like shitting myself coming into the first session we had here. But I guess like the difference is that like after my experience of what I've been through is, well, now it's like it's not even a question. Like, you know, what can I do that's even harder? Every decision is like, okay, well, like, what's the next hard thing? And now I feel like entirely comfortable with, you know, being in such like close proximity, being wrestled, grappled, punch kicked, whatever it is. But it's amazing to compare the mindset a couple of years ago to now.
Let's lighten things up to finish off.
Yeah.
Bit of rapid fire with Whitewater Willie. All right.
All right, let's do it.
Favorite post-training meal?
I usually go home and have a 6-egg omelette, 6 egg whites, and then 2 whole eggs with like a massive coffee.
Mate, you should be in concrete, Connie. You should be in the fucking chicken game. The chicken egg game. Holy shit. On a side note, one of the business story I really like, there was this like young kid, I think he was like 16 out in Kyneton or Bendigo or something.
Oh,
Who's,
I know the one. Yeah, it's like
Dude.
Happy Eggs or something.
yeah.
Like that? Yeah.
And he just started off selling eggs at the market. Now he employs most of the town.
That's wild.
Just, I love shit
How
like
cool.
that. I love shit like that. Who's the hardest hitter in the program so far?
Whoa. I reckon Grant. Grant's hard as hell.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
He's a big, mean ass man, and I can tell he's got something driving him too. That lad. Most underrated muscle soreness.
What I didn't realize is how much it would hurt or how sore it is getting choked out. Yeah.
What hurts the most? Your bumhole or your ego or your eyeballs or your throat?
It's like a gnarly combination of all of the above.
It is, because all your blood gets. You're just like, oh, it needs to come out somewhere up your eyes or your bum. Yeah, so tapping's usually the best.
Yeah.
One word to describe your MMA journey so far.
Inspiring.
I love it.
Yeah.
Brother, it's fucking 22 past 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning. The hailstorm has passed, the sun's out, guns out. Let's go get it.
Let's do it.
Nice.
Thanks, brother.
Awesome, bro. Love you, man. That was awesome.